What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another new episode of the Last Wave Podcast. If you're new here, we deal with topics like ghosts, UFOs, cryptids, conspiracies, the occult, pretty much everything under the paranormal umbrella. I'm sitting here today with my co-host Buster.
What's up, y'all?
What's up? So we're gonna go over some interesting stuff today. We got a couple episodes planned for recording today. But the first one we're going to go over is a favorite topic of mine. I don't think me and Buster discussed it too much, which is cryptids, which is the study of, or cryptozoology is the study of animals that basically are thought to possibly exist, but, likely don't. That's not the scientific description, but that's pretty much what it is.
Gotcha. This should be exciting.
Yeah, so it's basically stuff, like your common household Bigfoot, Yeti, Mothman, even gnomes, fairies, that kind of thing, all fall into kind of a cryptid territory. Mermaids, things of that nature.
Mythical creatures.
Mythical creatures, correct, is a good way to put it. But one thing that really interests me about them is, especially with Dogman and Bigfoot encounters, and you'll appreciate this, is their use of what I believe is infrasound.
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 Now, what is that?
Infrasound is like a super, and it's ironic. That's why I put this up. For anybody that's not in the office, we have some of that healing vibrational frequencies in the background.
Okay.
So infrasound is like a low frequency thing that big predators use to affect their prey. So in humans, it's reflected as that whole cliche, like I'm frozen solid with fear, like I want to throw up, I got butterflies,
right?
I don't know what to do. That's what infrasound does, and it's like the super low, like a growl, and yeah, so it can like literally leave people frozen. It can increase anxiety, fear.
My gears are turning now.
Yep. So if you go, like I said, you're in the forest and you go into a certain area where one of these creatures doesn't want you to be, and you start feeling, nauseous, nervous, anxious, that could be you've entered that field and that infrasound is messing with your body. So this sounds kind of ridiculous, but it's actually not that ridiculous. And apparently, tigers use it. And they were showing. I've seen this documentary or something. It was talking about infrasound, not as far as cryptids, but for something else. But they had this tiger on screen, and you can hear that like.
No, I get you. Like in all the old movies, the cliche like big cat growl.
Yeah.
Like it's like real low rumble.
Yep.
That's exactly. How hard does that hit?
Yeah, I mean
because all we know is this is a noise.
Yeah, but our bodies are picking it up on like a whole different level.
Alchemy.
Yeah, alchemy. We're gonna relate everything we can. I think it's the second or third time I used that the last couple weeks.
Dude, I mean, I've been reading, but
Yeah. But yeah, I always thought the infrasound thing was cool. You hear that a lot with Bigfoot and Dogman encounters. Again, like someone will go into a certain area and just on another tangent.
I mean, I get you. Like it makes sense now. There's infrared, there's ultraviolet.
Yeah.
There's infrasound.
Yeah.
And there's ultrasound.
That's true.
Remember that.
Yeah.
So that's two different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. Yeah. It is, and I mean you do hear that a lot. Like, so imagine you're telling a myth, right, of like to like a villager, and this villager knows you don't go into this area of the woods because it's cursed. Well, if you're just a villager at that time, you wouldn't understand this frequency that I'm feeling is doing this to my body. You just know that's a dark area of the woods to go into. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's part of how these creatures become more spiritual than they actually are. You talk to like shamans in Africa and Aborigines, and they tell you, and Native Americans, and they talk about Sasquatch as it's this protector being, this more ethereal something. So
it's because it's been around in their culture longer.
It has.
Yeah.
It has, but it also gives off this feeling of you don't feel good around it. You feel like you should cower and hide and freak out when you're around it. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe they've connected that in their minds that this must be a spiritual being. But I've been through West Virginia. There could be some Sasquatch. Like, there's plenty of space out there.
I believe it, man. Like, think about it. It's a barren land out there.
Yeah, I mean,
so much room.
I was just driving back from down the North Carolina Blue Ridge Parkway a little bit the other week, and it was. I'm like, there could be a couple Sasquatch out there. You know, you'd be a little 15 Sasquatch.
Like how many gnomes are running around?
Yeah.
How many little hobbits are out there?
Shoot. Gnomes and hobbits and goblins and any of the fae is like my favorite. One of my favorite things. And I mean, that's not necessarily cryptids because they're more of humanoid creatures. And I think of cryptids as more creatures. But yeah, the fae world is, we could definitely do an episode on the fae. I think I have 5 or 6. I have a series.
So are these creatures not all under the definition of like Nephilim beings?
Well, of course with Bigfoot and Sasquatch, you have your cavemen. They think maybe they're evolved Neanderthals. You know, you have that field of thought, but no one's really sure. I mean, they're probably a more ancient being if they're a legitimate species.
And so they're all like just experiments.
But they could be long living experiments from
that's why they're like
bygone era.
So weird.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you even have with Bigfoot and Sasquatch, you have the cloaked stuff that's come out in the most recent years, and I've done an episode or 2 on that, where like reports are coming up where they're invisible, like the Predator, but you can still see something there. So I don't know. I don't know. I think that's the best part about these creatures is people are seeing them and they're reporting them, but we have no clue if they're real or not. And that to me is just some kind of weird consciousness thing. I don't quite understand it, but I think that's the intriguing part.
Just how bizarre these connections are.
Yeah, these. So I'll move on to the second part, and I think you'll like this. So I've been seeing reports of this weird creature. It's kind of like a cat-like creature. Okay. The first report I had that I liked it's more of a jumble of general reports, but it was a large cat-like animal that hunts and kills local sheep. And I'm not going to disclose where this is yet, but even though reported to be as large as a leopard and leaves large tracks, no one has caught or shot this animal. So there's this big ass cat prowling around. Alleged. So aside from one dude, Mr. George Sumner, apparently, who said he shot one of the creatures. It had a head like a cat and black stripes on his back. Allegedly, his shot killed the animal, but he did not have proof. Next, we have Mr. and Mrs. Sims, who were camping one summer evening. They claimed the beasts, like multiple, terrified their dog. It looked kind of like a leopard, she quoted. So we have that same description again. It was another quote says, "It was too big to be a wild or domesticated cat. My husband said it appeared to be around 5 feet nose to tail." So I mean, you're talking maybe like a puma size. Pumas are about 4 to 6 feet, I'd imagine.
That's a good size.
That's a pretty big cat, right? So he's another man, Mr. Kennedy, spotted a similar animal in the area, saying it resembled a large lynx. The animal again was skittish around his dogs. Obviously, that would make sense. He described the creature again like a lynx, but its ears were pricked up. It had a long, thin tail, and it's had big fangs. So some kind of amalgamation of a cat. But multiple reports kept coming in. All the same general things. Small livestock went missing. Cat-like, fairly large animal with fangs. Some say it even hissed at you. All these reports were sourced from one book, and it was John Keel's Strange Creatures from Space and Time. I love that book. I have it around here somewhere because obviously I've read it. But these reports are from the early 1900s and are what we now know as the thylacine or the Tasmanian tiger.
The Tasmanian tiger.
Yep. So I say that because none of those reports, except for maybe the black stripes, was correct.
Now, is this Tasmanian tiger only in Tasmania?
Well, yeah, I would assume so.
So that's the only reports was in Tasmania.
Well, it was in, I think it's technically Australia. I don't know where technically it is, but that's the name.
So what was the Looney Tune character Tasmanian Devil?
I guess that's where he was from.
Like, why is that fucking exalted of all creatures?
I don't know. That's interesting.
Tasmanian Devil. We'll have to damn research that.
But anyway, I bring those up to bring forward the point as far as cryptids that none of those reports are what a thylacine was. You know, it was more like it was like a marsupial. It had like a small or like a really thin snout. It didn't look like a cat. You know, it looked like a weird dog, more or less.
Weird.
So I just kind of brought that up to like.
So a cat dog.
Yeah, but like as an example of how we can misconstrue things like in this field. So in regards to cryptids, we have to have a discerning eye, especially with not even cryptids. I don't want to branch too far, but UFOs. I know we talked about aliens. You definitely have to pay attention to what you're seeing in the sky, but you also have to pay attention to what you're seeing on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And one time, I don't remember if we talked. I'm sure we've probably talked about this over a drink or something sometime, but I saw what I think is a lake monster in Lake Norman.
Oh yeah,
legitimately.
You did.
Shook me. This was over 10 years ago. I still remember it like it was yesterday.
You mean like you saw it personally?
Personally.
Okay.
But let me tell you what happened. Okay. I mean, I even went to the website. Apparently, they have a whole website. It's called Normie, is the name of the creature for Lake Norman.
Mm-hmm.
And we had found, it's right, if you take 70 down that way, there's a big bridge. You used to be able to park down there and go swimming. Mm-hmm. And that's what we would do. We would go under the bridge and go swimming. Just some friends. We probably, I don't know if me and you were hanging out then. We might have been. It was probably around that time. But neither here nor there. And when you go under the bridge and you walk under it, there was an alcove, probably about 20, 30 feet. You know, nice little alcove. The water got fairly shallow, maybe 3 or 4 feet. You just walk. It was super nice. So that's where we'd swim and hang out. And one day I was walking down there, I think before everyone got there. And as I'm walking up on the little gravel shore and I'm walking towards the alcove, the entire alcove erupts. I'm talking about like whoosh, like splashing, freaking out. Like the entire thing. Like there was some massive, in my mind, I was done. Like that was like some kind of sea serpent or a big ass snake. That was what my mind saw. Because it was like the whole water erupted like at one time. Like one creature heard me walking and was freaking out and swam away. Now, that obviously, and a lot of people have seen stuff in that lake apparently.
Right.
Like I said, there's even a website where people can go report stuff.
Normie.
Yeah, Normie. Well, because in Lake Norman is a man-made town,
mm-hmm.
and when they made that, or it's not a man-made town, it's a man-made lake, and under that lake is an old town.
Mm-hmm.
And when they flooded that town to make the lake,
that's already like a horror story.
Right. It's already a bad news situation, but
horror story in the making.
Yeah, but we also have that. So that's already that, and then we also have that dam. One of the Duke Energy plants or whatever.
Yeah, That's supposedly nuclear.
It might be. That would be very strange.
I mean, it's this Marshall Steam Station.
Yeah.
But I can't remember or not. They say it's real polluted down there, and a lot of people are experience thyroid problems very commonly around there.
It's interesting. Well, I know I wouldn't get no fish out of that water. I'll tell you that right now. Not a chance. No. Heck no. But anyway, I remember a long time ago, 20 years or so, a buddy of mine, his dad worked for Duke Power Plant or whatever, and he would tell us, and I don't know if this is true, but I've seen people fishing, and I've seen them. But he would tell us that these guys that have to fix the dam, they go into the water, they wear scuba gear, and they would just quit their job because of the size of the catfish and the fish down there. Like they could eat a whole person, like 6-7 foot catfish, just sitting at the bottom of the dam eating.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and they would quit their job, underwater welding. So you can imagine how much that was making, and they quit because of that. So I mean, I don't know, and it's someone.
Yeah, I've actually heard the rumors about them things like being big enough, like a Volkswagen size.
I've been to some fishing places and then some pre-stocked lakes and stuff around here that have. I mean, you'll get 3-4 feet and like a couple 100 pounds, like big fish. So
I don't know. For all we know, those are still minnows.
Yeah, they're just like a big. It's like Lake Placid. Just something lurking out there. That's horrible to think about now.
I know that's always been like something that has freaked me out over the years. Is just like how much really is under there that we can't see.
Yeah.
And like what's hiding and what's lurking and like something's in the mud, not even swimming.
Well, I think that's it's like a natural human fear of the unknown, but also like there's things in there.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm getting into a dark pool. It's like I know there's creatures in there, and I can't see them. I don't know their intentions.
I know it's that uncertainty.
Yeah, it's the uncertainty, and I think that is a completely natural human thing with the ocean, with
Remember
the
river monsters?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That son of a bitch.
That dude is crazy.
Yeah, that was a cool show.
Jeremy Wade, I believe is his name. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool show, man.
Yeah.
I like that.
Props to that guy. He's like, I'm just going in to piranhas.
I want to do something like that. Like I want to I'll go on a hands-on journey.
Yeah.
Like camp. Just get out there and fucking hate your life for a couple weeks, you know what I mean?
Come back changed, cleaned.
Yeah. Or might not even come back at all.
Yep. Hey, you end up on don't say that. You end up missing. Then somebody's doing a podcast about that.
Yeah. Well, hey man. Hey, that's breaking the fourth wall.
Content.
Lovely. All right. So what kind of cryptid? What other cryptids? Like, are we talking? Is a giant a cryptid?
A giant is technically a cryptid. I would put that towards more the mythical again because it's humanoid. But certainly it is a species that is thought to exist or did exist and that likely doesn't anymore. So
that we know of. Or that are being told.
Yeah, you do have your stories out of Afghanistan and Iraq the last decade or so, the red-haired giant.
Kandahar giant.
Yeah, the Kandahar giant. I actually thought that would make a really dope book. Just like some lost treasure, like some group goes AWOL. Well, but they end up finding that.
But all we gotta do is collaborate.
Yep.
And yeah, man, that one right there was a very interesting take. But when you look at it, like if they are genetic experiments, the humanoid is just like a human mixed with something else, right?
Yeah.
So that could be a wide variety of things.
Yeah, more of a chimera type situation. Yeah.
I mean, so that just says like they all could very well be a derivative of the same thing. So.
Well, it's like I sent you the some of the clips from that damn Jurassic World Dominion.
Yeah.
Jurassic World
locusts.
Bro, yes, and the terminology they were using, like. If we inject a pathogen into the locusts, we can kill them all out in a single generation. And like I'm not technically spoiling anything, but like one of the scientists on there cloned herself because she had a disease and she knew she was going to die. So she cloned herself, removed those genes that would propagate that life-taking whatever she had sickness, and then impregnated herself with that clone.
With herself.
With herself. So she gave birth to herself as a better, more evolved being.
Mind
like,
blown.
Yes. I'm like, this has gotten out of hand.
Yeah, man.
Bring back the T-Rexes.
Yeah. Now it was never about dinosaurs.
Yeah.
That's what dinosaurs are. They're just genetic experiments.
Yeah.
And then now they've took that power, and that's what they're talking about in the courtrooms. It's like now they have genetic power, and it's not going to stop there. It only ends in death. And like that right there was the whole point of Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Like the dinosaurs.
The chaos.
The dinosaurs is just the front. That's the attraction.
Yeah.
Remember? Like literally the whole thing is just the attraction.
That's true. I mean, it is set up as an attraction. And Michael Crichton, the guy that wrote Jurassic Park, also wrote Westworld.
Yeah.
And we know how we've heard the truth drops that have come out of that show.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's very interesting that, like, this one author, and he's written more, and I think some of his other stuff is also in the same vein of this, like, weird futuristic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got a book called, like, Nest or something.
Nest.
Yes, I don't remember what it's about, and that's probably not even correct, but he's got other books that are in the same, weird futuristic situation. But dinosaurs would be cryptids.
Yes.
You got Mokele and Bebe, the long-necked dinosaur in the Congo. You've got pterosaurs. They see pterosaurs in Arizona, bro. Arizona
now?
Yes, now Arizona's a hotbed because of portals, and they think quartz underground, possibly. A mixture of quartz and limestone creates portals.
Well, that would make sense. I mean,
yeah,
it's all alchemy, man. You remember Stargate?
Yeah.
You remember the here we go. I don't know if this is appropriate for this episode, but like the seals and stuff on the Stargate.
Oh yeah, like the symbols.
And then the symbolism for like the breaking of the seventh seal, which is the seventh character that they were looking for in order to complete the code of the Stargate.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
The movie with
Kurt Russell.
Russell, yeah. I was just like remembering that the other day. Like that was some deep shit, man.
It was, and actually, I can relate that to this episode because I mentioned it on one of my episodes with the cloaked Bigfoots. On episode like 2 or 3 of Stargate SG-1, the government is getting tired of them being on peaceful missions, and the government wants stuff. So they send them to this planet where this creature has stealth technology, and they want to go hunt it and find it and figure out how to get that from that. Apparently,
the cloaking technology.
Yes. So, and then remember, this show is like 1990 something or another. So
what sort of parallels are there?
So what they do, they go to this planet and they find the creature, right? And they find that it does have stealth technology. They actually meet this little village of, like, I guess you would say aliens, but they're humanoid people. They're like simple forest dwelling, kind of like elvish people, like hobbity. And throughout the course of the episode or whatever, they're forest people. They're there to protect the land or whatever. And it turns out that they're actually super highly advanced. And their whole mission on that planet is just to keep that one creature cloaked and hidden from hunters from other planets. Like, they even, like, uncloak their whole city in the sky. Like, they're highly advanced. But their one mission, apparently, is just to keep that creature from, being found. So if you come back to here, to present Earth, you hear a lot of stories about Bigfoot being seen near UFOs, Bigfoot being this cloaked being, Bigfoot being again near alien sightings and things of that nature. So it's kind of weird that Bigfoot could be like an alien pet. There's even reports of Bigfoot walking out of portals, being dropped off out of ships. I mean,
Okay, so this whole damn world tree, 9 realms deals is making more and more sense.
it's a little far left of the topic.
I know, but like how you talk about like that's where they went to this planet.
Yeah.
But how do we know that they call it a planet, a plane, whatever?
Oh yeah, well
that could be one of those planes.
Yeah.
And if it was an elves were from where?
Yeah. Oh well,
Alfheim.
that's true. Yeah.
Like, so,
And they, because, well, yeah, if they're on, now we're back on the Stargate, but yeah, if they did the Stargate, that could be Bifrost.
Yeah.
The actual, that's what Bifrost is. It's a Stargate.
Yeah.
So you might be onto something.
Exactly.
Yeah, you might just broke the code there, found out, found out the truth.
But I mean, like, you know, there's so many things that you can connect.
Yeah.
Like, it finally, it either works or don't. You know how many times it takes to make a light bulb, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if that light bulb was symbolic?
Yeah. It's too much. All right. So, what other? I don't know. What else do you think about cryptids? Are you interested in any of the other type of beings?
Well, like, I'm still getting over the fact that like these giants, Nephilims, whatever, but they say they're so large, and then they get struck down and fall and die, and then they over time they become a part of the landscape because of like just the cycles of weather and seasons and stuff. And then now we have these giant mountains, and I've seen these pictures on Google Earth of what looks like dragons in like literally making up the very continents.
Yeah.
And then and there's even one that literally looks like the entire mountain range of the Himalayas. It's like all Everest is just like the peak of the dragon.
Yeah. Well, I've seen quite a few of that kind of image, and there was actually there was a short video that came out a couple years ago, and I want to say it was suppressed or whatever, but it was of this island out in Thailand. It's like the Secret Cove or whatever, and
the Kraken.
No, I don't think it was a Kraken, but it was like a very lush green island that looked exactly like a person laying down. Like it looked exactly like you could see the facial features and everything. And there's only like one little video clip allowed, or that's gotten out because the Thailand's government doesn't allow footage there,
right,
or something like that.
That's hard to come by, man.
I mean, you never know. I mean, it could be that could happen. I mean, that takes us back to. I mean, we're going to go over that in another episode because we're going to talk about the atmosphere and how it's changed and stuff like that. But bringing it home on the cryptids and the ultrasound, or not ultrasound, the infrasound.
Infrasound.
I have one more story that I think you'll enjoy. So, one of the things that we do on the sides is we do HOPS, Hickory Occult and Paranormal Society. And one of our main places that we went to check out to do a paranormal investigation was this place in Asheboro, which is towards the middle of North Carolina. And the people were reporting everything that you could want in a haunting. I mean, I had an hour and a half phone call and 2 pages of notes. Stuff moving, voices, weird things in the forest. They've remodeled the house using old boards from slave buildings. I mean, it's everything you could like cliche.
Yeah,
they have everything. So we get there and we find we hear some weird sounds and stuff. We'd like to go back and set up another return. But a couple things that they said really struck me, and the owner or the male owner, he pretty tough dude, probably a mechanic, a tradesman, probably not the easiest to scare. And he was telling me about what he thought were graves on the grounds, and they were just filling them in with ash and dirt and stuff, like these big holes. So I said, okay, well, that's kind of weird.
He's like the old man from Pet Cemetery now.
I'm telling you, I had 2 pages of notes. I'm not lying. The house was like from 1800s in the woods. It was crazy. But he continues to tell me he was out chopping wood and out working outside one day when he felt super uneasy, and he felt he was frozen, like he couldn't do anything, and he felt really uncomfortable, kind of wanted to throw up, and he just couldn't shake that feeling. So I was like, okay, okay, okay. Um, that sounds weird, but that sounded to me like what I'd heard about infrasound. When you come across these big predators like dogmen, werewolves, Bigfoot, they use that infrasound when they're near. Um, and so I started looking into it, and Bigfoot are also known to guard gold mines and things of that nature. So there's a very famous case, the Ape Canyon incident, where these gold miners went in and allegedly shot at them, and with like a whole tribe of Bigfoot tried to tear their cabin down. Yeah, and because they were looking for gold. And again, that's how you get this whole. They think this is an ethereal, spiritual guardian being. But back to my story, uh, that led me to remember he was telling me about these graves and stuff that are on the grounds. So I went to looking and looked at some old maps, and there were actual mines around the area. I don't think they were for gold and stuff, but I just thought that was interesting that he probably had old mines on his land, or like some entrances and stuff like that. So that led me to, okay, so you got mines, you've had infrasound. Let me look up the Bigfoot stuff. So I looked up the Bigfoot stuff, and that county where the zoo is has the highest number of Bigfoot sightings in North Carolina. In the middle of the state, bro. Yeah. I thought it would be like Asheville,
right?
Burke County, even.
The middle of the state.
Yeah, the middle of the state where the zoo is has the highest, had like the highest number.
That is bananas.
Yeah. So like, I had to tell these people.
You said you want to go on a Bigfoot hunt?
I had to tell these people, I'm like, look, I know you said your house is haunted, but we have other issues. So I'm still in contact with those people. Hopefully I'd like to go back.
As they lost you at the Bigfoot, man. They were like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Like, people don't understand. Like, I've put out an ad a couple times over the last number of years for stories about paranormal stuff and things of that nature. That was really a crazy thing to do. I put on Craigslist, and I would get just the most insane things. But that's how I met them. And would get other stories and stuff, but yeah, just that was a very interesting time. I mean, we had all kinds of people that were experiencing all kinds of stuff. I would get reports from Charlotte about those cloaked Bigfoots. The guy was like, "Yeah, these things are like on my land all the time."
What? What?
I mean,
well, no, don't freak out or anything.
Yeah, don't freak out. It's just cloaked Bigfoot. It's just Predator from the movie. Like,
yeah.
So, I don't know. What else you got? Anything?
All right. Indian folklore.
Yes.
The Wendigo.
Oh man.
I have been very intrigued about this Wendigo.
The Wendigo is very intriguing.
Yes.
It's native folklore for, I think, a lot of them, but I think it's mainly the Northeast, I think. I could be wrong. I know they have shapeshifters and stuff and skinwalkers. But a Wendigo is a person who has eaten human flesh. I know that much. And then once they do that, they begin to turn, and once they fully morph into this being of like evil and hunger, then they are never satiated. They have to keep eating and eating and eating. And
that sounds like a curse.
Yes, it is literally a curse. And I mean, there's even like today, there's like Native American, chiefs and shamans that's their job, is to root out Wendigos and remove them if necessary. Like that's their whole job. Like as a chief or whatever, that's what they do. That's what they have to do. So like imagine that conversation with somebody's family. It's like, look, you been eating people lately, or he
Like,
puts his knife on the table.
no, like not
listen.
even like he's like trying to like get him to like admit to it.
Yep.
Like calling bluffs and stuff, and
Yeah.
like I think that'd be kind of hilarious. Imagine. I'm not even gonna get into it, but I mean that's media gold right there.
That would be bad. But the Wendigo is really crazy though, just as a thing. Like, and here's the thing with these native legends about Sasquatch and Wendigo and all these other creatures and all fairy tales in general about things like that. There's already This is why I tend to believe some things, because there's already things to be afraid of in the woods. If I was a villager in whatever time frame, I would be like, look, there's wolves and bears out there. Please don't leave the village. You shouldn't really have to tell your kid, like, hey, there's this, mythical, troll in the forest that's gonna, eat your toes or whatever. I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like, why would you go through this elaborate thing when you could just be like, honey, there's bears out there. Like, don't leave the fort. Don't leave the fort. So we get these legends that are extremely abhorrent and violent, like the Wendigo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? I mean, I guess that they're saying that eating human flesh and becoming that is like the worst possible thing that you could ever do. So I understand on that front, but damn, we don't have to be so crazy with these, with these things to scare kids. That's why I think they're more than that. They're more than just, legends and fairy tales. At least in some cases.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're just pissing in the wind.
Yeah. I mean, more or less. So maybe there are some cryptids out there. I know I like Mothman. Obviously, I drive through West Virginia a lot. Mothman is one of those that's.
He's like a bad boy with a bad sign. He comes in at a bad time.
Yeah, like no one knows if he's an omen or if he's. Well, he's obviously some kind of omen, but also like a trigger. Like, hey, I'm a sign that something needs to change. But yeah, Mothman's pretty crazy, and I've been to the museum a couple times up in West Virginia. I mean, there's just that town. Every time I've driven through there, it just doesn't feel happy. It feels like there's like a cloud,
a dark.
Yeah, like I feel like every time I've ever driven through there, it's overcast. Like I'm pretty sure, like every time.
Cursed.
Yeah, I feel like it might, because it is. It's that God, what is his name? Chief Cornerstock or General Cornerstock, something like that. There is actually a curse, like a Native American curse on that area, I believe.
Well, then there you go.
Yeah, that would pretty much do that right there. So again, don't quote me on that. I feel really bad because I should know that, but I believe there is some kind of curse situation involved with Point Pleasant. So that's good to know.
It's the curse.
It's the curse.
Like how many different ways can you go, man? Like, what was the Kraken a cryptid?
Yeah, Kraken's definitely a cryptid. Most of the sea life that is, not for sure alive would be cryptid, because those are all, other than God, what's that thing in Japan that looks partially human? Again, cryptid would be more non-humanoid, other than a few of them. So yeah, anything in the ocean. So Kraken, island whales.
Island whales?
Yeah, that's where the Kraken came from. Is from the sagas in Norway, or Viking stuff. They would report this thing like the Kraken, and then they would also report whales that were the size of islands. Like you would dock on them and like walk on them, and then they would start to move. So like, yeah, people don't realize. Like, I didn't realize until I started researching it a couple years ago. Like, I always thought the Kraken was like a Caribbean type thing, but no, all that stuff comes from the Norse sagas.
You know what? I mean, no spoilers or nothing, but in my book,
Mm-hmm.
It is ironic that we would talk about this because I have a giant turtle that's an island.
Yeah.
And it just floats around. And it acts as a ferry.
That's pretty much exactly what they would describe. Just like a huge mass that you would mistake for an island, and then
but
it would
how? We'll get into that later. But the synchronicity part of it is like, why am I thinking about this way?
Yeah. Again, that's the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll pretty much go right into that. So we're at 40 minutes. So I think that's a pretty good episode on some cryptids.
Oh, dude, we could go forever, man.
We literally could. I could probably go for like days on some cryptids, but we covered a nice general area of some cryptids. We've talked about the main ones. Obviously, we didn't talk about like Loch Ness monster. What do you think Loch Ness is? You think it's real? But the Nessie?
Like, is it a freaking plesiosaur? A dinosaur? But still a cryptid,
Yeah, it's definitely cryptid.
It's become like a legendary creature now.
Yeah, it's become mythical.
It's its own entity now.
Yeah, it's possible.
Like Falcor. It's like legendary.
It really is. And it really has become its own.
But its name is Nessie.
Yeah. I think it could be. I think. I don't know. That one's so tough because there could be caves that connect to inner Earth.
Did you ever watch Loch Ness?
I don't know if I've seen the actual movie. I mean,
like they go up underneath this castle, and it's like underneath the castle in Scotland.
That's right. Yeah.
That's where they are.
Yeah. That could be an inner Earth thing. Maybe that's where the dinosaurs live.
What was it called? Argartha.
Agartha, yeah. That's
Argartha.
That's the underworld, or one of the underworlds of the ancient times when we lived on a flat Earth. It's one of those.
I mean, again, like, what if that's like just a different level of the world tree?
Could be. I mean, it could all be interpretations of the same thing. You know what I was thinking? I'm going to end the episode with this mind blowing fact. Since no one, as far as I know, has heard anything from upstairs in a while, if we just wrote a book like in a name, like a book from a Bible, and just started a book with whatever we believe, what makes it any different from the one written 2,000 years ago? But exactly, yeah. You just shrugged. Like
I don't know.
Isn't that a wild thought? If you just sat down and started writing the book of Buster.
I know, but like what?
In the beginning.
This come from me.
Yeah.
But what was given to me from heaven or whatever. But like we define heaven. Heaven is the crown. Heaven is up. Heaven is the mind.
See, all right, hold on. All right. We're gonna end it. All right. We'll get into the next one.
All right. Next time, folks.
All right. Appreciate you listening, watching, whatever you're doing, however you're hearing this. Share, like, and subscribe. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Peace.